Okay, guys, so been talking a little bit about John Benet, digging deeper a little bit more, wanted to go more into understanding more about like not only John, but understanding how to get past his poker face, but to understand when he's telling the truth and maybe when he's mixing in a truth with a lie to just kind of get us to make it more believable. He's sitting here on Dr. Phil himself, and you remember that Burke went on Dr. Phil as well. But so they both have their chance, and they show a little bit more. I haven't really watched the full video, but they show a little bit more about the house, inside the house, and give pictures and stuff like that. So I want to see that and get a little bit of a better view of what we're looking at.
Who suggested for you to search the house?
Linda Arndt. She said, take Fleet White with you and search the house, see if you notice anything out of the ordinary. Linda Arndt. She said,
Suggested for you to search.
He is very prepared. He is preparing for every single answer. You can see he's sitting up like this and he's waiting for the question to come. And then as the question lands, takes a breath and let's respond like he did on, I think one of the previous video with 60 Minutes. She asked him a question and, well, let me go into, I'm diving into I'm diving into my bag of responses that I've canned, over the years. So I'm looking at it where his eyes go. Oh.
Search the house.
Quick dart over and back. Digging into the canned speeches, quickly got, I already know what answer that is. Boom, boom, quick answer. That's the person. Whether that's a lie or not, we don't know. But he pulled that one up pretty quickly.
Linda Arndt. She said, take Fleet White with you and search the house, see if you notice anything out of the ordinary.
He should not have been allowed to search that house by himself. He could have tampered with evidence without even knowing that it was evidence. That's a critical mistake.
So
we know that. My God, we know that. Like that's what I begin so mad about, because we already know that. Why would you be going and searching that, bro?
Where did you begin?
Went down to the basement.
Why start there?
It's the most logical entry point. Went into we called it the train setup in this. There was a window open. There was a suitcase.
This is what I'm saying about Linda Arndt. This is what I'm saying about Linda Arndt. Linda was the first detective to arrive on the scene. When detectives arrive on the scene, this is what I say. It's got to be some tampering somewhere. You knew somebody down at the police department. I don't know what you did. But when the first detective arrives on scene, now I'm not saying detectives can't make mistakes. The knock against the Boulder police is that they didn't really have a lot of experience doing this stuff. So I get that. But the detective arrives on the scene, doesn't even pull out the first step in detective work, detectiving. Sorry. The first step in detective work is to clear the scene. Like, I got to get everybody out of the way, so I can understand a little bit more about this. For y'all to be sitting up in the house, just chilling in the house. What is that? Detective says, go search here, there. You're not a cop, John. Why would you be going around and searching stuff? This is why this case makes me so angry, because it's like, you're not a cop. Why would a detective tell you to go search? The detective would want to go.
Sitting under the window, which shouldn't have been there. And I noted that, mentioned it to Fleet. I said, that shouldn't be there.
You knew there was a broken window downstairs, right?
Well, I had broken that glass and then opened the window to get in previous summer because I left my key and Patsy was gone. I thought we had it fixed, but we never went in the basement, so I didn't know that. So I wasn't surprised that the glass was broken, but I was surprised that the window was open.
So you come to this door and it's closed. And what's in that door?
Well, we called it the wine cellar, but there's never any wine in it. It was a junk room. I was just going through methodically every square inch of that basement. And I opened the door and there's John Benet.
Take me through the moment that your eyes fell on John Benet's face as she was lying there on the floor. Did you know she was dead?
No, not at that point. I mean, I had this rush of, thank God I found her. And it was just overwhelming sense of joy that I'd found my child. And her hands were tied over her head. She had tape on her mouth. I immediately took the tape off. Her eyes were closed.
Could you, at that point, was dead?
No, not at that point. I mean, I had this rush of, thank God I found her. And it was just this overwhelming sense of joy that I'd found my child. And her hands were tied over her head. She had tape on her mouth. I immediately took the tape off. Her eyes were closed.
Could you, at that point, perceive her injury? He was dead.
No, not at that point. I mean, I had this rush of, thank God I found her. And it was just this overwhelming sense of joy that I'd found my child. And her hands were tied over her head. She had tape on her mouth. I immediately took the tape off. Her eyes were closed.
Could you, at that point, perceive her injuries at the time? Could you see her neck and her head?
No, I didn't. There was a red spot on her throat. I didn't see the garrote because it was too deeply embedded in her skin. And I just was hoping she'd wake up and began to realize that she wasn't going to, and just started to scream. I picked her up, carried her upstairs. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just horrified. Couldn't.
You know what confuses me about this is that I think, and as we will see, I think in the book they said take Fleet with you downstairs. Where the heck was Fleet? If you're supposed to have your friend down there with you, where the heck was he? You're telling me that you went down there. I mean, I looked up in our screen. To who? To Fleet? To your friend that was supposed to be there with you? Number one. Number two, I'm confused. Did you recognize anything about your daughter or not? Did you recognize that she was in bad shape or not? What did you notice? Because you're telling me, some of what you're telling me sounds like you noticed. Guys, I'm trying not to be biased. I'm just saying what I hear. You're telling me that you notice nothing, but then also you're telling me that you notice everything. I notice that, she has stuff around her hands. I noticed that her eyes are closed. And of course, you can notice different things and not know that you're noticing them, and so you pull it back. You're pulling it, as the shock wears off, you're pulling it back. But did you notice it or not? I'm confused. And this is where I think the inconsistency is coming in.
Speak. I was just screaming, and I took her upstairs and laid her down. I guess I was taking her to help in my mind. I didn't perhaps want to accept that she was dead. Linda Arndt knelt down beside her as I was and felt for her pulse and looked me in the eye and said, "She's dead." And that's when I was just stunned. She looked very peaceful.
I wonder if that is the story. I wonder if that story should be shifted up, right? Because according to Dr. Wecht, John is the cause of this. If we go with that theory. And as we said in the last video, John is describing a situation and what he would say to the killer. But if that's the case, and we know that allegedly, according to Dr. Wecht, it could have been John. If we assume that it was John, and you say, maybe there's something that I did, because as Dr. Wecht said, it wasn't the blow to the head that did this. Number one. Number two, then what did do it? We don't know. Number three, you say that she looks peaceful. Is that what you thought when you were showing her to the detective? Or is that what you thought immediately after you unalived her? And you remember that from previous, so that's the truth. I remember when I first did it and she was gone. If that's the case, I looked at her and I remember her looking so peaceful, and I know that I had done the wrong thing, but I remember her looking so peaceful. I got some more looking at John I want to do. I really do. Because John is, I couldn't tell it before, but like, hindsight is 2020, I guess. Trying not to, don't want to be biased, but it's human nature. but I got some more videos I want to look at John on. So stick with me and we'll move forward. But until the next video, take it easy.